Hi there. My name is Joey O'Connor with the Grove Center for the Arts and Media. And with me today is Chris Lambrick from Nashville. And as Chris and I were just talking, I was in Nashville several months ago, and it was just a week after I returned home where his mom, Dana, had contacted me about our creative funding program. And Chris is recently a new creative funding grant recipient, and it's my privilege to introduce him to you today to talk about his work in Nashville. Chris is a musician. He's going to be telling you a lot more about his artistry and what he's looking to do in his new recording project. But Chris, welcome. It's a real privilege having you here today.
Well, thank you, Joey. Thank you, and the Grove Arts and Media for having me here. It's a privilege. Thank you.
Great. Well, really looking forward to talk with you and learning more about your life and your work. Sounds like you're just an incredibly talented young musician. Give me an idea of your background. How did you get started in music? What led you to pursuing your life as a singer-songwriter?
Well, it was actually all the way back in Las Vegas. I used to live out in Nevada, and it was when I was 6 that I picked up the guitar for the first time, and I pretty much immediately knew that I was hooked with music, and ever since then, for 14 years, I've been building up my musical repertoire and skills, and it's just been quite the journey from there.
That's great. What were some of your first songs that you learned to play?
Probably this is kind of cliche, but I think it was something like Iron Man or Smoke on the Water.
Okay, cool. Well, I don't know if too many 6-year-olds play Smoke on the Water, so you were ahead of your time. That's awesome. And tell me, Chris, who were some of your early music influences? Who do you really like?
Well, the biggest influence when I really started getting into my favorite genre, rock and roll, was Aerosmith. Joe Perry, the lead guitarist for Aerosmith, is probably one of my most looked up to inspirational players. Led Zeppelin, The Who, and even some more modern stuff like Jack White and Black Keys. I dig anything with that.
Well, I've got that's awesome. I've got a funny story for you. Before we started this interview, we were talking about a great documentary, Muscle Shoals, that I was watching last night on Netflix. And what I didn't tell you, Chris, is years ago when my son Joseph was learning to play the guitar, I took him to the music documentary, It Might Get Loud, and it featured Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, Edge from U2. And what's really funny is you look at how Jimmy Page has aged. He's tall, long gray hair with a ponytail, and he is the spitting image of my father-in-law. So as we're watching It Might Get Loud, I kept bumping Joseph in the elbow saying, "Hey, that's Papa Herman." And he looks incredibly like Jimmy Page. So pretty funny story. Anyway, tell me about your life now as a singer-songwriter. Tell me what your week looks like. How do you go working on your craft? Interested in letting everyone who listens to this understand, gosh, what's the life of a singer-songwriter like?
Well, basically, as a singer-songwriter, I spend like every day of the week. I don't go a day without coming up with some kind of material. And each time I sit down and write, it's from some different kind of inspiration. Whatever I'm listening to at the time helps, even just at the top of my head. But yeah, every day, sit down and write, and just kind of keep it. I don't keep it in rock and roll. Sometimes I write out for rock and roll, but I like to keep my main material in the bluesy rock genre.
Right. Awesome. One thing we talk a lot about with the different artists that we work with, the Grove, whether someone's a singer-songwriter, whether someone's a visual artist, a writer, a filmmaker, whatever the artistic discipline is that they're practicing, is just the importance of craft, and that daily repetition of practice that you just mentioned is so critical to improving our craft and growing as an artist. Now, tell me about, in your life, who have been some influential people that have come alongside you to help you in pursuing your work as a singer-songwriter?
Well, in my life, Definitely one of my first influences was my dad. He got me hooked on all the music and the main inspiration at today. And there's been several local songwriters I worked with that have really helped. I kind of just work with different people and see how they write. But I like to keep my own writing style my own, so I don't co-write. So everything like any outside songwriter influence, um, I try to keep out just to make sure that just to kind of keep a clear writing style with my song material.
Sure. That's great. Now, what about where do you like to write? Do you just write at home, or do you always have your guitar in front of you, or do you separate the developing the lyrics versus the music? What about some of the specifics there?
Well, this very room we're in actually right here is it's both like a practice space and also a writing space. It's very quiet. I can just basically clear my mind and just write whatever comes to mind. But yeah, it's really when it comes to writing like a structure of a song, like verse, melody, lyrical content, it's always different every time. You know, I can't really say for sure like how I do it each time because it's always different. Like I said,
Sure.
basically it has a lot to do with what I'm listening to at the time
Mhm.
and just what ideas I have in my head. And I think that's if I have any advice to give, I think that's just go with it. Really.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
go.
Well, we've got a lot of friends in the Nashville community that we've gotten to know through the Grove. And one question I'm curious of knowing is, how do you like living in Nashville? And do you find that the larger creative community there influences you in one way or another?
Yeah, no, the creative output here is pretty staggering. There's a bunch of artists bands that just kind of have their own style and just like you can I've songwritten with some and even like played with them in shows. And the cool thing is there's always some like new sound in Nashville that you're here. Like every time you go to a show with multiple bands, which is really nice. There's always originality. It's not just country music city. I always think of it. It's music city. You know what Nashville is.
Yeah, that's great. It's got a lot of diversity there. It's a fun town to be a part of. Well, Chris, as a creative funding grant recipient, it's our real privilege to work alongside with you to help develop a campaign to promote your work. Tell us about your upcoming recording project, the album you're looking to cut. Give our listeners just an idea of what you're looking to do with that.
Well, later this year, around fall, I'm planning to get back into the studio with a full length album. And right now, I'm working on getting the band together, getting everybody sharp for that. And but yeah, that project will be coming later this year, and everything's just kind of getting planned right now. But definitely stay tuned for more info on that.
You're looking to raise a significant block of money because I know it's not just the album that you'll be producing, but we're looking to do a full overhaul of a new website for you, some of your marketing materials. Any thoughts on that in terms of, if you could paint an ideal picture of what you hope to accomplish through everything that you're doing, what might that look like?
Well, what I like to do is just have like a hub where people can go and see what I do and see what I like. And so, yes, getting a website is a priority right now, just so everyone can stay tuned for like a central hub for everyone to stay tuned for the future updates, like the studio album shows, concerts, and giveaways, stuff like that. Um, that's why, yeah, just right now, website would be the priority. And
Mhm.
just as a good central hub for fans and people that are interested in what I do.
Great. And then once the album's finished, you looking to tour locally, nationally? Any tour plans in mind?
Yeah, I would ideally like to tour. Really, I would probably start locally, local gigs first, and then then probably build a tour funding later. It probably wouldn't be until either the end of this year, the winter of this year, or the beginning of next year.
It's great. That's great. Well, in wrapping up, I want to let you know, if you're watching this interview with Chris Lambrick and you're wondering how you can get involved and participate in his campaign, he's looking to raise just over $100,000 for this recording project. That's a sizable sum. But what's great about it is that by participating, he's going to have a number of perks that you can take advantage of on Indiegogo. We're looking to develop not only the studio-produced album, but also marketing materials for him, a new website. And so you're going to learn more about this as you have a chance to look at Chris's work on Indiegogo and participate in supporting what he's going to do. So I really want to encourage you to not only give to Chris's campaign, whether it's $5, $10, $50, perhaps you can give more, $1,000 or $5,000. You're really going to be supporting an up-and-coming artist. And again, it's our privilege to support Chris in his work, and you'll get to benefit from seeing his artistry develop and actually listen to more of his music. So I really want to encourage you to not only make a pledge today, but at the same time, share this on Facebook, tweet it out, put it on any of your favorite social media sites, because that way a lot more people can learn about Chris's work. Hey, Chris, it's been a privilege having you in this brief conversation, and wish you great success, and really looking forward to see what's going to happen in the days ahead.
Well, thank you, Joey. Thank you for having me on and having me be a part of the Grove Center.
Awesome. You have a great day.
All right, you too. You take care.
Okay, bye now.